Hello everyone, welcome back to WhiskyWars. Today we have two sherry finished Redbreasts, both part of the Iberian series. We have an Oloroso sherry cask in the Redbreast Lustau, and we have the PX sherry cask in the, I think it's just called the PX. Oh, it should maybe have a name actually, like the Lustau. It's not the Oloroso, is it? But I digress. Both of these whiskies are bottled at 46%. And they're both non-age stated, although the rumour is it could be between 9 and 12 years. I'm certainly not a person who buys whiskey again, a second bottle of whiskey, just because I do this channel and I just like exploring new whiskies. So I can't really afford to buy whiskies that I like, because then I can't make videos on them and I'm not expanding my tastes and learning new things. And that's part of the enjoyment that I like of whiskey. However, last year I made an exception. After drinking whiskey for 6-7 years, I bought 2 bottles again. And one of them was the Redbreast Lustau, just because I loved it that much. So this is going to be a very nice whiskey to try. And compared to this whiskey, which if you've already seen my whiskey war and neck pour of this whiskey. So the neck pour I did, and I really enjoyed this whiskey. And then I filmed a whiskey war with the Tawny port cask. So if you haven't already watched that whiskey war, then I'd recommend you do so. It's a good whiskey war. It shows the difference between a sherry cask and a port cask finished Redbreast. But yeah, I love this whiskey. Just intense, syrupy, sweet. It's fruits, a good variety of fruits as well. It's not just a certain fruit. You're really going through the motions in different fruits. I get apple, I get nectarine or peach, fresh nectarine and peach, juicy sultanas, but also a little bit of dry, dusty raisins. All that just drenched in a full bottle of honey. I mean, this is one of the most syrupy, sweet whiskies that I own. And I've got quite a few bottles. If you've seen my whiskey collection, I go through all the whiskies that I own. It's a good video to watch, so I recommend you watch that if you haven't already. It's called My Whiskey Collection 2024, and then just type in Whiskey Wars in one word and it'll probably come up. But yeah, wow, it's so intensely syrupy sweet, this whiskey. I really can't stress that enough. There's zero ethanol notes at all. It's thick, it's viscous, it's clingy, it clings to the glass, clings to your nose. Yeah, I'm a big fanboy of this whiskey. I wish I could get a bottle of this whiskey. In Europe, they won't release this whiskey again, so I just can't get hold of it. But in America, you guys, it's available for you guys. Still, they've re-released it, so yes, I'm very jealous. So in Redbreast, what do I think of a Redbreast when I think of Redbreast? I think of biscuits, shortbread, buttery, with red fruits. This is different to that. You're not getting as much of that bready, biscuity, buttery note. What you are getting instead is that honey-drenched fruits. Good variety of fruits. There's enough to keep this interesting. It's not just one fruit. It's not just red fruits. It's not just dark fruits or orchard fruits. You're really getting a good variety of fruits actually. And also, I normally get a nut note. I'm not really picking up a nut note in this whiskey. It's just going to be sweetness. The most sweet Redbreast that I own. But incredibly, incredibly good at the same time. I don't know if I could have more than 1 dram of this, just because it's so sweet. Okay, on to the Oloroso sherry cask. So that's the PX. Very different, very different. The Oloroso for me comes across a lot more wood spice. It's still this is a very sweet whiskey, but coming off the PX, it doesn't smell as sweet at all. But I am getting freshly squeezed oranges in this whiskey, which I'm not in the PX. And that's not actually a note that I picked up too much in the Lustau before. Freshly squeezed oranges, mandarins, with a good oak spice as well. This is still a very good whiskey on the nose. Still getting a little bit of that honey sweetness, but it also delves a little bit into that red fruit as well. You're not really going to get the sultanas and the raisins that you get in the PX, but it's still virgin. You're still getting tropical fruits. It's getting down to that territory. A bit of papaya maybe. I'd say more tropical fruit on the Lustau than the PX. More oak spice, oranges, freshly squeezed oranges. It's going to be a sharper, more lively nose than the PX. So this is going to cater to two different people. Honestly, I don't know what I prefer. I love the PX. But this is an incredible nose as well. But very different, very different. You might not think that. You might think with these two whiskies, if you see them in a store, they're both sherry cask, Redbreast. How different can they be? The answer is quite different. A bit more nuts as well. I would say it's got to be a walnut for me. Walnuts, freshly squeezed orange and oak spice with a little bit of tropical fruit that's really balancing this whiskey out. It's giving it a little bit of softness. Also a touch of honey as well, just making it soft, because freshly squeezed orange and oak spice can be quite sharp. The tropical fruits, the honey, it's mellowing it out, softening it up. But this is more balanced. This one's more balanced. Okay, let's get stuck into the taste. Oh, by the way, guys, if you like the videos, please do click the like button down below. It's really appreciated. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do click that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out. It helps it grow. It helps YouTube know that my videos are actually worth watching. So if you haven't, please consider doing that. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. You know, there's not too much more to say. The taste mirrors the nose, which I find even more impressive, because on some whiskies, the nose can promise a lot and be really quite complex. And then the taste just doesn't follow through. The taste does follow through on this whiskey. Everything you're getting on the nose, you're getting on the taste. So just that honey-drenched fruits, but good variety of fruits. Not really getting much oak. No wood spice, no ethanol, no nuts really either. Just a very, very sweet, soft Redbreast, but incredible, really good, really good. Okay, Oloroso sherry time. Yeah, this whiskey is good as well. I can see why this was one of my favourite whiskies. Really good. More wood presence than the PX. But also, orange box actually makes a lot of sense, because I get freshly squeezed orange on the nose and the taste. This whiskey is still soft. It's still sweet. It's still what I love from Redbreast. But it is going to give you more of a balance than the PX. So it's really going to come down to what you guys prefer. What do you prefer? Do you prefer just intense sweetness, syrupy, thick, viscous sweetness? Or do you like a bit of freshness maybe? It's certainly fresher, the Oloroso. It's sharper, it's fresher. You're getting wood spice in your whiskey, and it helps balance the whiskey out. But I also want to stress, this is going to be a very soft whiskey as well, because that tropical fruit, that honey, there's some red fruits in here as well, and it really just softens it up, and it's also very buttery too. A little bit more of that shortbread coming through on the Lustau, a little bit more of that classic Redbreast, I want to say, but still an incredibly soft whiskey. So when I say it's more sharp and a bit more lively, that's considering this is 10 out of 10 soft. So this might be like 8 out of 10 soft. It's still very soft, but it's giving a little bit more in the glass than the PXs. So, personal preference. Now, all I want to say, to keep this video as short as possible, is the Redbreast Lustau is part of the core range, easily accessible for anyone, probably anywhere. The PX Sherry Cask is discontinued in Europe, second-hand market prices only, which I won't pay, but it is available in the US, so maybe in Canada it's also available, I'm not too sure. So accessibility is a factor in this review as well. The Lustau is also the cheaper of the two. The Lustau is around £50, and the PX when it came out was 65 to 70. It's now a lot more. I don't know how much it is in America right now. It's the second batch they've released, so maybe they've priced the whiskey up a little bit since. I'm not too sure, because I can't get my hands on it, so I don't know. But yeah, two amazing whiskies. Very, very sweet and soft Redbreasts. I strongly recommend both of these whiskies. Having one and the other, they're not redundant purchases because they're both different enough to keep it very interesting. This is a lot more sweet, as I've mentioned before. But more tropical fruits on the Lustau, and I adore tropical fruits in a Redbreast. I adore tropical fruits in an Irish whiskey, to be honest. I hope this whiskey war was helpful. If you did like the video or found it helpful, please do drop a like on the video, and please click the subscribe button down below. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you all for the next whiskey war.